What's up, guys? It's Adam, aka Marv, and this is Marfoogle News. Right now, we're going to talk about why I will never return to a store and why you shouldn't either. In fact, what happened to my wife is unacceptable, and we will go over that after this. We will be right back with a very important story to the entire country. What's up, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. I am here with Dex. Let's do a quick sound check. Dex, are you there?
Hello, Adam. I am here, and hello, Foogle Fam.
So we're going to show you a video of what I actually caught in person, and I was blown away by this. This is one of the scariest things I could ever think of coming to a store and probably all buildings near you. So we're going to talk about that right now. Now, before we go into that, I just want to let you guys know you will be able to access all of the articles that we feature here on this live broadcast. It's 5:09 p.m. on 12/3/2019 at marfooglenews.com. In fact, if you go over here, go to marfooglenews.com, you will see this thumbnail, and once you get there, you will actually see, once you click this, right down below, you will see the articles. So you can actually follow along with us, or you can go back a month later, a year later, 5 years later, and you can actually read these articles. So again, we have several things pointing towards a very dystopian future, and that's what we're about to talk about. So this is actually really scary. I'm going to show you a video that I actually took, and then Dex helped me edit it together as far as the little samples of what they are doing now, not only in Washington, but apparently in Portland, Oregon. Now, I caught one of these in person. Now, it says 24-hour Portland convenience store installs facial recognition technology. Now, this was a very similar gas station to the one that I was at, and I'll tell you why this is so scary. It says a 24-hour convenience store in Portland is cracking down on crime, but not in the way that you would think. Jackson's Food Store on Southeast Grand Avenue recently installed a facial recognition system. It may just look like a camera, but according to Blue Line Technology, the company who made their system, the high-tech giant gadget can also scan a person's face. Quote, it's going to benefit this area because, really, this area is not a good area, said customer Jarrett Dean. I'm all about it. I'm all for it 100%. After repeated attempts over 2 days to reach Jackson's, they did not return Fox 12's calls or emails. But according to a statement from Jackson's Food Store shared with Fox 12 by a Seattle media partner, the convenience store is using facial recognition software in order to, quote, prevent future theft and potential danger from happening. Now, I'm going to show you the video that I'm talking about. In fact, this is actually from Tacoma, Washington. I was out there visiting, and it was really, really freaky. And I'll tell you this right now. My wife ended up, you'll see her, the back of her, trying to get in, and she got rejected twice in a row before I started getting it on camera. And then it finally cleared once she kind of waved at the lady, and the lady manually let her in. And the reason why is their system actually picked her up as somebody else that, and this is from what the gentleman inside said, that she was picked up as somebody who was a previous thief. Obviously, we don't live there. We've never been to this gas station ever before, so we thought it was pretty wild. So I'm actually going to plug this in real quick, and I'm going to get you the audio. This is pretty crazy. And it comes along. It actually has audio of it says, well, I'll just let it play. And of course.
Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry.
Now, this is my wife getting denied. You'll see on the right side there's this little green lock that's open and a red lock that's open. And it was open, and then it caught her face, and it actually locked it. So I'm going to push play here.
Look at camera for...
So then she was stuck. She reaches, pulls like a dummy, looks back at me and laughs. It's locked. And then again, it opens. This is all automated. So this is literally something that happens on an automated basis.
Look at camera for entry.
It's recording their faces, everything.
Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry. Look at camera for entry.
It is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, and here's the fact. So she gets rejected because it apparently thinks she's a thief. Here's where I think it's extremely scary, and the fact that this is becoming more and more common is the fact that they actually have something that is a necessity, which is gas. You cannot travel without gas. And say that day we actually did not bring our card. We did not have a card to pay at the pump. So we physically had to go inside and hand the lady cash. Now, if this evolves into the social credit score that is basically connected to the designers of this thing, then this could be where you, if you have a low enough score, or if your face is on this system as somebody who cannot do it, you will not be able to pay for gas. Now, when it's one store out of 500, that's fine. You can go down the street to the next gas station. But this is going to be the future. This is going to be how they implement a lot of this stuff. In fact, I've got a couple articles here that show you that there's some really deep connections here to some of this stuff. So I want to bring up the fact that China brings in mandatory facial recognition for mobile phone users. We've talked about WeChat and their systems there that they're using. It's really, really disturbing stuff. Now it is mandatory to use facial recognition. It says facial recognition is expanding in China Photograph, and I'll tell you why this matters to us here, because guess who's going to be designing our systems? It says all mobile phone users in China registering new SIM cards must submit to a facial recognition scan, according to a new rule that went into effect across the country on Sunday. The guidelines, first issued in September, require telecoms companies to deploy, quote, artificial intelligence and other technical methods to check the identities of people registering SIM cards. All physical stores in the country have had until December 1st to begin implementing the new standards. That is hella scary, and I apologize, but this is one of the most disturbing things that this country's done out of half of the things, including taking organs involuntarily. So, and again, this is where it ties in. Chinese tech groups shaping UN facial recognition standards. UN facial recognition standards. Now, Dex, can you, let me pull you back in here. Can you explain why the UN comes into this?
Hey, Adam. So, the thing that bothers me is A, the UN is looking for facial recognition, and then B, they're going to China to get it. And then the flip side, though, is that obviously China has a vast amount of data and a vast amount of experience with their facial recognition. As we just saw, they've forced it upon all mobile phone users. Now, granted, we may think about, the mobile phone as a convenience, and there's a lot of cool things we can do on the phone. But in China, that phone is everything. It's how you pay for a drink out of the vending machine. It's how you get your paycheck. It's how you do everything in China. It's all based on the phone. So by locking down this facial recognition to that, it's a really big deal. So it makes a perfect sense if somebody's looking for a facial recognition expert for them to go to China, because they have been investing heavily in this, both in applications, whether it's apps that we may think are harmless, like a TikTok, or their platforms on their government-owned telecom companies' cell phones, right? So as the UN moves towards needing some sort of facial recognition, they're looking to China to provide that. That's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah. Well, so, and this is the connections that, people like us have feared and have talked about for years. Some of my colleagues in, this, area of the internet have been talking about this for 10 years. Some of them even predicted exactly this, China actually designing facial recognition for the UN. This is like prophecy coming true in my book. It says Chinese technology companies are shaping new facial recognition and surveillance standards at the UN. according to leaked documents obtained by Financial Times, as they try to open up new markets in the developing world for their cutting-edge technologies. Companies such as ZTE, Dahua, and China Telecom are among these proposing new international standards. So for whatever, whatever crazy person decided, they should be the ones helping develop international standards for this kind of thing, considering all of the controversy that they are looked at right now for. It says specifications aimed at creating universally consistent technology. One world, right? In the UN's International Telecommunication Union for Facial Recognition, there is one of those, a union of facial recognition, video monitoring, city and vehicle surveillance. I mean, this is to the point where people, fashion designers, are designing clothes that essentially, one designer actually had all license plates on dresses because China's cameras actually would pick up the license plates and think it's a vehicle instead of thinking it's a person, so it wouldn't record it. I mean, this is just, this is where we are heading. And by the way, there's multiple fashion designers designing all sorts of weird things. They've made tons of fashion statements as far as avoiding these things invading not only our privacy, but not only our public space, but our privacy indeed. Now, this says DHS wants to expand airport face recognition scans to include U.S. citizens. That means everyone, not just foreign citizens coming from out of the country. That means all of us. And again, we all just let it happen when our phones ended up having facial recognition because it was a convenience. This is what we thought was, easier than swiping. Like, one thing that I don't get, and no offense to the people that use facial recognition, you're probably like, well, they already have it anyways, right? That's the kind of attitude most people have now. They're like, oh, well, they already have all my information, whatever. But we're talking about, people were too lazy to go, and they wanted something less secure, like a face, to unlock their phone. I mean, literally, nowadays, it's cutting things from 0.02 seconds to 0.01, and it's like, oh, this makes my life so much easier. It says Homeland Security wants to expand facial recognition checks for travelers arriving and departing from the U.S. to also include citizens, which had previously been exempt from mandatory checks. So if you travel, you're on the facial recognition system. Sound familiar? It says in a filing, the department has proposed that all travelers, and not just foreign nationals or visitors, will have to complete a facial recognition check before they are allowed to enter the U.S., but also to leave the country. Facial recognition for departing flights has increased in recent years as part of Homeland Security's efforts to catch visitors and travelers who overstay their visas. The department, whose responsibility is to protect the border and control immigration, has a deadline of 2021 to roll out facial recognition scanners to the largest 20 airports in the United States, despite facing a rash of technical challenges. Yes, indeed. And here's the thing. So this gas station, right? I want to point out something. Do you think a gas station or any store would have this if people did not go in? If people said, you know what, I'm going to support AM/PM or 7-Eleven instead down the street, if their business dried up, like nobody came in at all, do you think they would still keep this system around? No. So we're actually, I guess what's the word, enabling this to happen. See, people, when I was there was probably 100 people. I mean, people pulled up, the locals are used to it. They literally just walk up, look at the camera, and then open the door. I mean, it's natural to them. They just get out, they walk around the corner, they look right up at it, boom, in. People are getting trained to look at the camera, open the door. Look at the camera, open the door. Is no one else seeing this? If it's a business, just saying, if no one wanted their face done like this, it's all these little steps. It's the baby steps. It's the apps that we use that have kind of trained us to do this.
Adam, if you go back to the article from China, that talks about the UN, and you scroll down to that graph about the Chinese facial recognition, there's two things I want to point out here that tie exactly what you just said. We're looking at these camera systems at a gas station, and this one gas station or a handful of gas stations are rolling out this facial recognition for unlocking the door. What people don't realize is that these camera systems are actually deployed all over America right now. And the company you listed and you said earlier, and people may not recognize this company name, but Dahua. So you said ZTE, Dahua, and China Telecom. ZTE and China Telecom are the big telecom companies. Dahua makes their camera systems, and not just the camera systems you think about, all of the cameras that we pretty much have around for CCT and security, like you have in small businesses, in any store you walk into. If you put cameras on your house, those security cameras that you buy at Sam's Club and Costco, all of those packages of cameras, they're usually relabeled Dahua equipment. So all of this Chinese camera systems are everywhere, and they use technology in the latest ones to actually do facial recognition because they call it a convenience. If I can identify a face, it's better to record that than to record a bug that's flying through the screen and then wasting hard drive space. So that facial recognition is actually deployed in a lot of places, and we don't even realize it. And a lot of us may even have it in our homes or in our own businesses and don't realize it.
Now, can you explain what we were talking about with Walmart? As far as they actually had it in 2015 and it was not cost effective, and then they're waiting to bring it back.
I think it was 2016, 2015. They applied and granted a patent for facial recognition. Then in 2017 they said, hey, we're really not going to do it because the ROI wasn't there. But in the last year, we have actually seen, and this has been reported on the show over on Marfoogle TV, we've had many callers call in, including Rip Curl and others, say that the camera systems are now moved down at face level for the entry and exits to the door, so that they can have that capability of facial recognition. And they haven't come out and said it, but they're only an acknowledgement away, probably, if not a software update away from having that in every one of them. And if some of these stores are putting in turnstiles to I guess they would say maybe to direct the flow of traffic in and out the door, they could easily turn those turnstiles into entry and exit points to allow you to enter or not based on facial recognition.
I mean, the farther that this goes, we know that Walmart has all these weird patents, and most people have seen this. We've actually covered it on the show a bunch over the last year and a half. But as far as this, if it gets implemented, when this gets implemented on every store, because it's going to become a standard. It's every store that has a camera, which every store has a camera. Every store has hundreds of cameras in some cases. If you go to a Ross, every single aisle. If you go to a grocery store, every single aisle. If you go to a toy store or Target, doesn't matter where you go, there are hundreds of cameras, and you just think, whatever. See, that again, like he said, the facial recognition, we don't want to videotape empty aisles, so it starts when it sees a face. Boom, it records the face, right? So it's a convenience, but these conveniences are sold to us as this because this is part of a bigger, thing that is going on. Now, TikTok that you mentioned earlier, one thing that we were talking about, that is a Chinese-owned app, and it actually has facial recognition built into some of its features. Just like Face App, everybody was controversy over this Face App that millions of people's downloaded to get, basically gave their rights to their pictures to Russia. With China, TikTok has virtually done the same thing, and they have all of these millions of faces that they have actually absorbed into that TikTok app. All the kids, everybody's using this dang app, doing these 15-second videos like Vine. And part of the system in there is for them to lip sync, they need the facial recognition. This is all tied in together, and people don't realize the higher it goes, all these boards are connected, and then at the very top, they're dealing with people at UN. It's absolutely nuts. It says, Portland plans to propose the strictest facial recognition ban in the country. As federal government plods along with developing privacy laws, some cities are taking matters into their own hands, which they should. It says, with facial recognition technology at the top of the list, now Portland, Oregon has plans to ban the use of facial recognition in both the government and private businesses in the city, a move that could make Portland's ban one of the most restrictive in the United States. The proposed ban comes after cities, including San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley in California, and Somerville in Massachusetts, have already banned the use of facial recognition by their government agencies, including police departments. But Portland's ban goes a step further by expanding to private businesses if it makes it a law and it takes effect in spring 2020 as planned. Now, what they're talking about, too, is this is going to be a private thing, too. This is going to be on your house. Ring Doorbell has gotten the patent to add facial recognition into their doorbells. Now imagine when they have a system that can find you no matter where you are, anywhere, ever. And say you're wrongly accused for something. Say you are somebody who knows too much. Say you are, somebody like a whistleblower or something like this. You could walk past a house in the suburbs and they got you. You could walk past a 7-Eleven, they got you. You could walk past a kindergarten, they got you. Doesn't matter where you walk past, in the future, they're going to get you. And that's good, right? If you're thinking, oh, well, if I'm not a criminal, that doesn't matter. What if you're not a criminal, but what if you accidentally saw something? What if you saw a governor shake hands and hand over some money to somebody? That's actually happened. That's not just all in the movies. And then all of a sudden, you end up with an obituary. It scares the crap out of me, Dex. It probably scares the crap out of you too, right?
Well, yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I think about just the whole notion of TikTok and even FaceApp. I mean, these countries probably have facial recognition databases that rival what we would probably think our own, three-letter agencies may have, right? Probably even bigger because they've got many, many, many more people on it, and including people that aren't necessarily doing things that are bad, but they can be indexing all of that. So it makes total sense when you think somebody like the UN saying, hey, we want a facial recognition system. Let's go to the country that probably has the most faces, not only in their country, but they've captured them from every other country.
It's disturbing. That's what it is. Well, again, there's one way that you can at least go against this for now. Just saying, if you feel like it, this is, we don't direct you to do anything. But if you don't like it personally and you see a business with it, if there's a business just like it down the street, maybe take the long way and go to that place. Because, it's like we are enabling this to happen, and I bet you we're going to. This is going to happen at all your local grocery stores, which, by the way, necessities during a disaster or anything or before a disaster, food, water, gas. When they start doing it at all of these places, say your face isn't a face that they like anymore. It's pretty scary. All right, you guys, if you guys want to help support our channel and protect yourself, again, against anything digital, as far as the bad guys go with NordVPN. It helps the channel as far as they are helping out our Foogle family and giving them up to 84% off on certain plans. It hides your IP. It protects you in multiple places. Even if you're on Wi-Fi at a public place, this is a great thing to have, especially now with all of the hackers and people that are out and about. Dex, you've said many times you were at the top of a tech ladder. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been using NordVPN for ages. The main reason I use them, in my opinion, it's so easy to use. And you just set it, turn it on. It's like a light switch. You don't have to be a geek to use it. And then secondarily, it actually protects you in the sense that you can eliminate the man-in-the-middle attacks where somebody's actually going to capture your IP address when you're clicking a link and you may not know that you clicked on a bad link. And they could come attack your network. They could come they could do a denial of service against your home, and you don't want that. It also prevents people from sniffing your traffic when you're on a public Wi-Fi, or if they're actually at your Wi-Fi and they've broken into it, they can actually prevent them from seeing everything that you're doing on the computer across the internet because it secures that connection. And the last thing that I would say, this is a really good point. They do not log, okay? And logging means that these internet providers, like your internet provider, whoever you have, is logging everything that you do, and they keep these logs so they can turn them over if they need to be turned over to somebody. Nord does not log anything, so there is nothing to turn over. So that type of privacy is really, really important when it comes to your internet. Especially
if you're a prepper and you look up prepping supplies, things like that. It's all being logged and actually turned over to a certain place, if you know what I mean. Again, we are going to have some guests in the future that will actually open a lot of eyes, and I honestly think that people are going to just completely have their minds blown on the guests that we're going to be having on this show, as far as the knowledge and the positions that they have, as far as talking about EMP. As far as the EMP shield, they are actually working with our government to actually harden our grid after T-Man, Commander-in-Chief, signed the new bill to do so. They didn't sign a bill, an emergency bill, just to sign a bill. They did it because there was a severe threat against the United States. They have a contingency plan, and we were roughly super unprepared for an EMP or a CME. And many people have talked about this, not only in mainstream, independent, it doesn't matter where it's being talked about. The United States is in a rough spot. Even if you're in a different country, either way, an EMP could strike you. Again, this can protect you. Even if you don't go through us, right now they actually have 5 hours left of their Black Friday sale that they kept going. In fact, a day later, just for our audience, they are actually doing $50 off for the Marfoogle family and $75 on top of that on each device. That's a total of $125 off for the EMP shield, which are handmade in Kansas, and they can survive an E1, E2, E3 phase EMP, and they can actually do it multiple times. So again, vehicle protection, generator protection, home protection, solar protection, and even ham radio operation protection. You don't have to put your entire house in a Faraday cage. You can just get a EMP shield. So again, you can find that at empshield.com and use our code, or you can go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. Super easy, and again, this is a real thing. Once you see, I think you guys are going to open your eyes. All right, have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
You want to know what's going on? What's really going on when it happens? Go to marfooglenews.com and get Marfoogle alerts along with a Discord invitation where you can find your local state group and get together with the Foogle Fam. You'll find fast friends where you'll share prep and intel, and there's even special groups for former and current military. But don't try and steal the valor of those who have really served. It won't go well for you. The Marfoogle Fam is waiting for you.